Wednesday, Tabata. So like I mentioned, if you are new or you just did not do last month, you have a timers page at the end of this workout sheet. So I put underneath the workout, choose normal or advanced timer. So I'm not gonna go over the timer. You're gonna go to your timers sheet on your workout schedule and you're going to read through it. I give you exactly how to program it into the timer app and you're gonna pick if you wanna do normal or advanced, okay? So we have skaters, grasshoppers, squat, switches, and half burpee. So we have our skaters. We have our grasshoppers. We have squat, switch. And half burpee. All right, skaters. So skaters are skaters, but you can do them with different levels of intensity. So I'm gonna show you how to do it and then I'll show you what I mean. So when you do a skater, what you're essentially doing is you are alternating sides, you're crossing one leg diagonally behind the other leg and sinking down. So it's kind of how I talked about the lunge, except instead of being like this, one of your legs is gonna be purposely diagonal behind the other and you're gonna sink down. Then you're gonna do that same thing on the other side, okay? So that's basically your position. Now you can do it a few different ways. If you're doing it slower, it's gonna look like this. Switch, switch, switch. And notice my back leg is more on the straight side, okay? I'm not looking for that 90-degree angle. What I'm looking for is to get that bend in this leg and really pull. So really what you're working is you're working that front leg, the one that's really bent, because basically all of your weight is on that leg. So it's gonna pull all the way back up to your butt. That's where you should feel it. So you can do it slower, like I said. Or you can really do it with high intensity, and you're gonna bound from side to side, bound, bound, push off that leg, push, 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 okay? If you really can't get a lot of movement in, maybe you need to hold on to the chair or something, you can just kind of do it in place, not even really move. Just like I said, kind of focus on getting that back leg to be more on the straight side and then feeling that pull on that front bent leg. Grasshoppers. So these are difficult. I don't even do them the full way because I don't know, I'm just heavy. So the full grasshopper, you're in high plank position and you're basically hopping from side to side, but you're actually kicking up off the ground when you do it. So it's supposed to look like this, but I can only do that single jump for a very short period of time. So I typically do a bounce in between. So I go bounce, bounce, up, bounce, up, bounce, up, bounce, up, bounce, up. It gives me a little bit, I guess, more time and it's not as crazy, but I'll show you from the back so you can see what my feet are doing. Let's see if you can see me, okay. So I'm basically kicking my butt in the middle, okay? So as you can see and hear, that's really difficult. If you can't do that, but you can do part of it, you can just stay in your high plank and just bounce out to the side. Side, middle, side, middle, side, middle. If you can't do that, step, middle, step, middle, step, middle, okay? Or you could also try to use your chair if you wanna get in your high plank and just like jump side to side, that's fine. The point of the HIIT is to get your heart rate up. So if you can't do something because it's like really like a high, I would say more of an advanced skill level, I'm sure you can still find something that's easier to do, but just as tiring. So if I sat here and did this as fast as I could, that's gonna be just as tiring. It's not as demanding on my body, but if I'm doing it with a high intensity level, even though it's easier, I'm still gonna be out of breath. So that's really what you're searching for. If you're somebody that has a lot of limitations, you're just looking to do it in a way that really gets your heart rate up. So whatever way you can do that, try to do that. And then we have our squat switches. So what that is a squat. I was waiting to say SWAT switches because I feel like that's too confusing. Okay, squat, when you come up, you're gonna jump your feet to one side, your head and your shoulders are gonna face the middle, then you're gonna jump back down into your squat, jump your feet to the other side. Squat, jump your feet, squat, jump your feet. If you can't do that, just hit a regular squat. If you have to use your chair, you're gonna just, actually I'll show it this way. You're gonna just either tap and go on your chair, or you're gonna do a full sit, stand up. So I'm gonna go over the squat really quick since we haven't had one yet. So what you're really focusing on when you're doing your squat is that your butt is dropping to the ground, but like anything like the lunge that we did, your upper body should stay upright. So when I squat down, my butt drops down, but my body doesn't drop down. I mean, you slightly lean forward naturally, but you shouldn't be doing this. You don't need to do that, okay? I mean, technically, as long as your back is straight, it's not going to hurt you necessarily, but that's just not the proper way. You wanna have your back up, you can put your arms out. Sometimes I do like a praying hand, however you want, but your feet are either gonna be straight forward or slightly outturned anytime you squat. Usually, the more outturned you turn your feet, if you have knee issues, the less pressure it is on your knee. You never want your feet to be pointed inward. That never should happen with a squat. And the stance it varies. Like, I feel like I'm most comfortable with a more narrow squat. A lot of people like to do it a little bit wider, which also could be called a sumo squat. So that's your preference, but that's your switch. If you can't do the switch, just hit a regular squat. And then half burpees, parentheses, easy. So what that means is you're just doing an easy version of a burpee. So for me, I normally do a full burpee, so I'm gonna do a half. If you normally do a half, you might wanna do it off of a height. It's just, you just want it to be easy enough where you can do a lot of reps, because this is part of a timer. So you don't wanna pick a version that's hard for you and you can only get a few, and then you're just sitting there for like 15 seconds because you can't do anymore. You want it to be easy where you can get a lot of them. So like I mentioned, for me, I normally do a full, so I'm gonna do the half. What the half is you're going to put your hands down in front of you, jump out into your high plank, jump your legs back in, jump up. 1, down, jump out, high plank, jump in, up. 2, down, out, in, up. My only real tip about that is when you jump your legs in, put them on the outside of your hands. And when you jump in, you should be flat-footed. A lot of times people try to come in way too narrow and then they're on their tippy toes and you have like no balance. So it's much easier if you do a wide stance. If you normally do that version, which is the half burpee, you're gonna do off of a height, which looks like this. Hands on the chair, high plank, in, jump. Chair, out, in, jump. Chair, out, in, jump. So see what I'm saying? You want to be able to do it faster. You might not normally do that because it's easier, but in a timer scenario situation, you want to be able to keep going. So it might not be difficult normally, but doing it for 30 seconds straight might be difficult for you. If you cannot jump you can stand. If you cannot jump in any form, step out, step in. Same goes for your half burpee. You can always step out, step in. You can always step out, jump in. You can always jump out, step in. Okay, there's a million different ways, so do whatever works for you. And that's it. So those are your 4 exercises in your Tabata, and then like I said, your timer is gonna be at the end of your workout sheet.